Just how is Colombia
We have the big screen right here about this illegal express.
during Copa America?
Yeah, it is just crazy. Big old flags. Big flag.
And how is it
Crossing over to the Calle 70.
to live here as a foreigner?
Oh, this is pretty packed up here as well. A famous street called 70th Street.
In one of its best neighborhoods, in Colombia's second biggest city.
There it is. There is La 70.
Is the atmosphere best? In Laureles, Medellín, Colombia.
I've spent the past year and a half driving my motorcycle through Latin America, living in each country for a minimum of 6 weeks. This has been one of the most difficult projects I've ever embarked upon, and I really hope you enjoy all this content coming at you now. Welcome back to Generic Expats. Today I bring you to an interesting part of one of my favorite cities in Colombia, in Medellin, a neighborhood called Laureles. Today I'm going to bring you on a walking tour, talk a little bit about the city and the places that I've lived in, that I've been to, and just give you my basic experience and a walking tour to show you a little bit of one of the most popular tourist and expat city areas of Medellin. We found ourselves in front of a bar called Punta Arena, which is one of my friend Danny's favorite bars that I've met up with him many times, and I've been here many times in the past. So I decided to start my walking tour here, park my bike, as today is actually a big day. Today is a day in which Colombia is in the quarterfinals of the Copa America 2024. It is July 5th or 6th, I believe, which if they are going to be winning in this game, they are already winning. They are 2-0 against Panama on the quarterfinal game here. If they do win, they're going to be advancing to the semifinals, and that's going to be a big deal here for Colombia and the country and the people. They're already super animated. They're super excited because Colombia's not necessarily known for being some of the best footballers, the best soccer team. So it's going to be a very interesting match I'm going to be watching as I walk through the streets here as we go through this walking tour. So we're going to be starting here at, like I said, Punta Arenas, which is right next to the university. The university is called Universidad Pontificia Bolivariana. So Universidad Pontificia Bolivariana is right here, actually. You can't really see it, it's beyond this wall. But as we walk past, I'm going to see if we can look inside a little bit as we go around the side street, as I believe is mostly fenced off. I'm not sure if it's a public or private university. I have met people that have gone there, but only Colombians. I'm not sure if it's a common university. To be honest, I think people probably do study Spanish at the UPB, but I can't recall a specific individual or specific situation where I know a person that has studied here at this university. So that is going to be our ticket. Here it is. Yellow turns to red and we can cross. All right, so these are the heavy traffic hours. Well, it's not super heavy traffic, to be honest, because of this soccer game. Because of the Colombia quarterfinals in the Copa America, I decided, well, this is probably the time to drive. The time to be on the road, because it is a lot less complicated. Here we have Laureles, a connecting street. And here we have another group of people watching the quarterfinal game. Colombia versus Panama, 2-0. Last time I checked. So it's just a typical little Colombia viewing party. And let's keep on going on. Across in the distance is the UPB University. And it seems like everything is fenced off, so I decided just to take the closer route that I'll be taking you towards the stadium. So, as I didn't mention before, we started at the Punta Arena next to the university. We're going to be crossing over to the Calle 70, which is a famous street called 70th Street, and that's going to lead us to the stadium. I want to do a walking tour all the way to the stadium as people are watching a game of their local national team. And I'm going to be showing many of the people supporting their team as we go, giving you information as we go. 2-0! 2-0. So, something interesting about Laureles is I actually have a lot of experience living here. I've lived in Medellin in total for like more than a year and a half, I believe. And this is not the super upper class neighborhood like Poblado boasts to be. It is definitely the number one place to go if you want to have the more luxury type of atmosphere and type of services, food, what have you, accommodation. This is more like when I lived here is quite more focused on the middle class, middle upper class definitely has always been, but it's slowly, I think, reaching the more higher upper class as more people start looking like they're moving in from abroad. It seems like it's becoming a very international area, and with that, prices are going up. Another example of what causes kind of some beefs with the local people when lots of foreigners decide to move into a neighborhood, and especially the foreigners with lots of money to spend, and they don't take too much time to research, investigate what the proper prices are, and they just end up throwing money everywhere, and that kind of makes things really increase in price. So Laureles, when I used to live here back in 2019, 2020, was a fantastic time to live here because it was very local. It was still very it wasn't nearly as exploited by tourism, therefore it had more of a local feel. It had more of a local ambiance that now that I walk through it in 2024, I've already come back to Laureles many times. I've already been back here in Medellin for nearly 2 months on this project, Generic Expat. So anyways, this is a neighborhood. I mean, as you can tell, this is definitely not the lower middle class. You can tell it has some structure. It has some nice, tall, high rises, and yeah, it looks like some of the places are pretty nice. And this is definitely a place I've spent a lot of time in because I thought, why not enjoy a good spot that has everything walking distance? I mean, most of Medellin has services. It has everything you need within walking distance, unless you're located in super far off, like mountain areas, like super high into the hills. Because, you know, since Medellin is a valley, which has a kind of one small area that is flat, which is Laureles. One of the parts is Laureles in the center, and these are the small parts that actually have the flat area of the valley, and everything else is just hills going up on both sides. Going I believe it's east and west. So yeah, east and west. So I mean, this is just going to be the super typical type of architecture you'll see in Medellin, in Colombia in general, to be honest. And yeah, so this is a place that I've noticed coming back here in 2024. The type of people that are living here, it's really expanding towards the international crowds. When I lived here, I mean, it was 2019, 2020. Tourism was picking up, but it was still on the lighter side. I mean, in Poblado, it's always been the most touristy spot of the city. Therefore, I've never really enjoyed living in these super touristy places. However, it's always a good place to go out and have some fun and go maybe grab some drinks, have a night out, go dancing. There's a lot of clubs. There's a lot of options for food, as I mentioned. There's a lot of places where you can get some good quality international cuisine, where here in Laureles, actually, that is another thing that this neighborhood has. It's a place where you can find good international cuisine, which can't be found in the entire city, like places like Itagüí, Sabaneta. I mean, where I'm staying in Envigado, I'm staying in Envigado right now, which Envigado is a fantastic municipality as well. However, the main place is to find international cuisine based upon all the influence from the foreign population that lives there, owns property there. There's a lot of expats. There's a lot of foreigners that actually live there long term, but it is the tourism hub. Here we have another example of the quarterfinal game 2-0 still. Everyone is excited. Oh, here it is. Here is La Setenta. And this is, I haven't seen it this buzzing in a long time. It is a Saturday, therefore I shouldn't be surprised. However, wow. I wasn't expecting to see this many people, to be honest. I was expecting to see quite a few, but this is explosive. Explosive amounts. And you can hear the sound from each place has different like delivery times, so they're kind of saying the same things, or there's echoes everywhere. But yeah, everyone is watching the game. It is the quarterfinals, and it is around 5:30, getting close to 6, which is nearing the sunset time. So I wanted to show a little bit of what La Setenta was like. Unbeknownst to me, it is pumping much more energy than I was expecting. Big time. Here we go. So, police watching over everyone, making sure everything's okay. So that's good. We even have the big screen right here about this Lico Express food and drinks. Man, this is just the place to be. Everyone's drinking in the street. That is a pretty standard thing to do here in Colombia. One thing that is interesting about Colombia, and comparing it to some other countries such as Mexico, for example, I spent a lot of time in Mexico, a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and you can really get into trouble drinking in public because each city has different laws about how much it's allowed. I mean, typically there are a couple places you can drink it, like for example Mazatlan, I think the entire city, and certain areas in certain cities. Whereas here in Colombia, anywhere, at any time, at any place, like I don't think there are any restrictions at all. So yeah, that's one massive benefit if you enjoy drinking cerveza, the vinos, the liquor. Here, what's popular to drink is guaro. It's called guaro, which is the liquor, the sugarcane liquor. They add anise, which I'm not a big fan of anise. I don't really like anise, but the guaro, anise flavored sugarcane liquor, it's a pretty big thing here. Here we have another spot that has some popular restaurants. For example, here, Fonda La Chismosa, which is like the gossipy area of La Setenta. So this entire street, this entire thing is 70th Street. And I used to live down this road, so I'm going to show you where I used to live when I was back here in 2020. So yeah, people are enjoying their time here. There's a big flat screen on top this time. Yeah, looks like it's still 2-0. And everyone's getting ready to be selling their stuff for the night crowd, it seems. These are the street vendors that sell snacks. Yeah, we'll check out one of the street vendors here. Buñuelos. I believe the Buñuelo people aren't interested in the game. Here it looks like we have hot dogs. Perritos calientes. Sí. ¿Picaña también o qué? ¿Picaña? Claro. Listo, gracias. Yeah, they got some hot dog and some meat. They are grilling up, getting ready for today. Looks like we have some burros, quesadillas. We got some like Mexican style food here. Quesadillas and burritos. I see some arepas there, but yeah. This is a more calm area. The casino, of all places, is the calmest place. Everyone seems to be very focused. It's still 2-0. It's intense. Colombians are not fearing any loss yet, but there's still a lot of time on the clock. I believe we're at 30 minutes so far. Here's the local bank, Ban Colombia. And here's street vendor selling ceviche. Colombian style ceviche, which is different from the ceviches that you might have if you've ever been to Peru, Chile, Ecuador, Mexico. They're all different. Colombian ceviche is interesting. Definitely an interesting flavor. Let's go to the other side of the street. Why not? Oh, looks like we have. Everyone's happy. 3-0 now. People are happy. They're all watching from the streets. Three to 0. Man, they are going to be partying hard with the Wardo tonight. Drinking that sugar cane liquor all night, celebrating. I believe they're probably going to be making it to the semifinals. So one thing that, I don't know when the last time this happened, but Colombia making it to the semifinals on international competition, football and soccer competition. That's something big for the locals. They love soccer. This is a big deal for them. So let's hope that this stays the same, where they continue just rocking them in. They've been rocketing in goal after goal after goal. They're at 3 now. So here's another example. A local bar here. They're all happy. 3-0. So, as you can tell, this area is kind of a party entertainment zone of the city, just like Poblano as well, but looks like they're still rocking. 3-0. And we have some stores just everywhere selling beers, selling this and that. Here's like a slightly nicer kind of boutique luxury area. There's a small crowd watching the game. Botanique 70, La 70. Here's the local Policía. So, regardless, suffice to say, people are pretty excited. They are rocking the aguardiente, which is the Wardo I was talking about right here. This is the Wardo right here. Aguardiente. Whichever ones that might come. There you go. Aguardiente. That's actually, I believe, the brand expression, brand slogan. I got some people watching on the street here. Hamburger here for $15,000. Double meat with triple cheese, about $4 for half. The last $3.50 for hamburger. Got some French fries with some meat on it. So yeah, what is this? Can't read that. Some phone device. Let's carry on. Let's make our way down La 70. This is a fun day to be on the street. Let's see who's going first. Mr. Big Truck. Yeah, so for those that don't know, Latin America in general just is not great at respecting pedestrians. If you're not used to that, it's definitely good to go with people that are, or people that are familiar with how differences are of these places. You can watch people almost getting hit here and there, and I mean, just driving in general. I drive these streets every day, and this city specifically is really difficult to drive. It's really fast-paced. There's huge populations in a super small space, small area, and really high population density in the valley here. I don't know, I've seen statistics of it being about 4 to 5 to 6 million in total for the entire metro area. So here is a standard supermarket that I'll be showing later. Éxito. It's kind of like the middle cost type of place to go shopping, as it's not luxury like Carulla. Carulla is more of the higher cost luxury brands, and everything's really nicely organized. All the fruit and all the stuff is higher quality, but they're quite a bit more expensive than Éxitos, a bit more like the middle price range. And then there's some smaller shops that have the low cost, that has stuff that basically everyone needs, the basics. And I go to these places all the time, to be honest. D1 is one of them. It's called D1 in Spanish, and they have really good. I'm going to be showing probably the difference between the D1 to Éxito, just to show how insanely cheap it actually is. Really low prices. But yeah, it's just never ending support for the Colombian national team. All these are little liquor shops. You just pick up a beer and stand in the street. Obviously, that's what everyone's doing. Luckily, we are in the drier months, in between the rainy periods of Colombia's rainy season. This is pretty packed up here as well. There's peeps on peeps on peeps. So we have Cuernavaca, the city in Mexico. That has a city here as well, don't think so. Yeah. One awesome part of Medellín, and specifically like Laureles and many zones, like in the more central part of the city, is that there's a bike lane. This is a bike lane. You probably can't tell right now because there's so many people. And it's so busy right now. I mean, it gets pretty rambunctious at night because this is one of the biggest like night scenes, the bar scenes for weekends. So, as I was mentioning, this is La 70. It's probably the second place that is most popular to go out for nightlife in the entire city after Poblado. I'm not sure how it is nowadays. I used to go out every so often when I lived here back in 2019, 2020. And it looks like we're going to halftime. People are applauding. They said these says. So people are going to start hitting the streets. And I want to show you where I used to live, which is down around the corner, right before we get to the stadium. Here you can tell in the background, that is the sides of the mountains as they go up. And so that's going to be the, I believe, the eastern side. You can't really tell too well, but right there where the sun is setting, that's, I believe, the western side, right? Rises in the east, sets in the west, yep. So here we have a pretty busy area. I'm going to cross on the red. Okay, just doing it Colombia style. As you can tell, Colombia is a big city. People are happy. I mean, in general, people are happy in this part of the city. It's kind of a celebratory nightlife, have fun type of part of the city. But this is pretty good. This is a lot of joy. Oh, they even have like live music right here. Here at the Joe Pandolputo, I guess. Very South bicycle. Here we have another discotecas or clubs. Cacique is another one. So yeah, I mean this part of Laureles, La 70, it is packed full of action. And one thing people like to do in this area, I mean in all of Colombia, but in this area seems to be pretty popular, is to take this what's called a chivo. And chivo, which is these old buses that were turned into like party buses, and they just basically just drive around and you drink on them. And that is something very common to do here in Colombia and in Medellin. I'll be honest, I believe chivos exist in most of the cities. I saw them when I went to other smaller cities, and I was like, I thought this was just a Medellin thing, because I lived in Medellin for most of the time spent here in Colombia. And I did live in Bogota, but I don't remember seeing them at all. Perhaps because of the climate, I'm not sure, because it's so cold. But yeah, I never really remember seeing them at all. And now we are off the main streets, La 70, walking to more of a residential part that's look, we're only less than a block away, and we are getting to a much quieter, calmer area. And that's just how it is. As you can see behind me, there's people in all of Medellin that are struggling to survive. There's some homeless problems, definitely, and I'm going to be showing that on some of my motorcycle video tours that I'm going to be doing through Medellin in the next couple of weeks as I'm doing my final video work here. So, as you can tell, this is the residential part. It's just full of just lush, beautiful trees and types of plants that make Colombia what it is. It's just this beautiful, tropical, lush. Even in like the second biggest city. This is the second biggest city in all of Colombia. And look how many trees there are. These fucking absolutely gorgeous trees. And when I'm driving around the city, I'm like constantly like, wow, like there's just like bamboo, like trees like falling over the streets. It's just a beautiful view of just driving, just doing a regular boring thing, like just driving from, I was driving from the restaurant that I went to have lunch at back home. And I saw just these beautiful trees, and this is just standard. This is just standard in all of Colombia. And in Laureles, where we are now, you see this in Poblado big time as well. Like pretty much the entire city has a ton of greenery, right? Greenery is everywhere. And this is just an example of kind of the middle-ish class, I guess you could say, middle upper class here in Medellin and Laureles. Now I'm going to be making my way right over to the house I lived in back in end of 2019, and throughout the pandemic. I spent the pandemic here in this city, and since I worked online at the moment, I had no reason to go back. And all of my roommates, all of them but one, were foreigners, and they ended up taking flights back to go home because, you know, they were, yeah, we got people there. I want to jump into the camera. I love it. They're not shy here. So everyone besides me, all the other foreigners, went home because, I mean, that was the best option. They were students, they weren't working, they weren't able to be productive, and they just said, well, better to just go home. So I ended up staying here, and this is the house where I lived in. I mean, it's obviously a smaller place. It was a duplex, or it is a duplex here. The yellow area, I believe it still is, the yellow area is one apartment. Looks like, I don't know if they're building that now, but I think they were building it at the time. So yeah, the yellow floor, first floor, is where the neighbors used to live. And then the white upper floor is where I lived with 3 other roommates. I think there was 4 bedrooms in here, and it was great. I mean, it was a fantastic point in my life. I was just started working online like a year or 2 before that. At 2018, I started working online, doing what I'm still doing now, which is teaching. And yeah, so I ended up doing that here during the pandemic, you know, the entire time from end of 2019 over to, like, basically by the time the government kicked all the foreigners out, they said you have to leave after the flights were resumed. I had to leave in November 2020. So yeah, that just kind of summarizes my time that I spent here. And yeah, there's a lot of people walking around, so it's kind of keep your eyes open. No! Be careful, listen. Be careful. Oh no! No, I mean, there's no problem here. It is kind of rambunctious, as you can tell. It's super loud. I mean, check out this. This bar actually, it wasn't even open when I lived here. This was open after I left. So who knows? 2021, 2022. I mean, it's 2024 now. So yeah, it's been a while since I lived here. But as you can tell, you can jump into the La Setenta area, and it just explodes. I mean, look at all these motorcycles. I mean, I don't recall this ever being a thing when I lived here. I don't remember seeing the insane amount of people. I mean, definitely people, but like how many motorbikes parked on the side? Definitely not something I remember. It just seems like Medellin has exploded exponentially from what it was, what I remember it being. 2019, 2020 was still kind of coming out of its shell, and now it seems like this has become the place to be. I mean, people are just rocking out, eating some, this is called punta de alta, I believe it's called, which is just empanadas. Right? They call them pasteles here. They're kind of a form of empanada. Fried corn with some meat. Pretty good, yeah, empanadas. There's a bunch of different kinds here. Like beef, shredded beef, chicken and potatoes. Got some beans, rice, chicharrón, pork. But yeah, this place you can definitely tell it's rocking. People are happy. They're having a good time. And here's another example of a Chivo. Nice hats, right? Pretty sweet hats. They're fun people here. Everyone loves just jumping in. Looks like the policia is still monitoring the streets, making sure everything's okay, or at least showing their presence at least. So yeah, this is La 70 coming into what is the stadium. The stadium is coming up, and that is where the local teams. Medellin has 2 local football clubs, and I believe I can't remember the names of the 2, but I watched one of them my first year living here in 2019, and I haven't gone back to see any games here since, but I went to a game in Pereira. I think it was Atletico. Atletico was the game I saw. Man, it is just crazy. Big old flags. Big flag. ¿Cuánto cuesta la bandera? 30,000, okay. We got about a $7-8 Colombia flag. Yeah, those guys are just rocking, making money off the pride and joy, happiness, and celebration of the locals. 3-0 against Panama. Yeah, this place has far more energy and people than I was expecting, but I haven't been back here. I've been back on a Saturday in a long time. So this is just a blast from the past, I guess, as I have been here on weekends before, but like I said, 5 years ago. All right, so we were making it. All right, so we are making it to what is the metro system here. This is actually some of the pride and joy of Medellin and what separates Medellin from the rest of Colombia. I believe this is the only functioning metro system in all of Colombia. Bogota is currently making their metro system, and I believe they're going to be finishing it, or they're projected to finish it at some point within the next, 5 years, 6 years. It's a long process, right? I believe they just started a couple of years ago. And when I lived there back in 2019, just chaos. Huge city of 8, 9, 10 million people, no metro, and their bus systems are just overloaded, and they just get stuck in traffic with the lights, the people, and driving conditions are crazy. So overall, this city is like a shining beam of hope. It's it's the second most important city after the capital, after Bogota. However, it does have what a lot of people consider it to be like the more advanced city planning, right? City planning system, the most advanced type of place to live in terms of at least for public transport and for, like I said, city planning. So as you can tell here, this is where you can make your way up to the metro system. I'm going to be taking, I think, a metro ride at some point soon. I'm running around on my bike, so since I'm driving everywhere, that's not really a thing I need to do. I'll have to see if I can I might have my card from back when I lived in here in 2020. Who knows if it still works. But this is going to be another part of the videos that I bring to you, is showing you what the public transport is like here in Medellin. I still have a couple places I'm going to be going to before I leave Colombia. Now this is a second time back in Medellin, as I just came from Pereira. I left Pereira Tuesday. I've been sick, so as you can probably tell, I'm not sounding so great, but gotta keep on keeping on. That's how it is. So I'm gonna show you what it's like to be around here in Medellin for the next couple of weeks, and then off to Bucaramanga, then off to Cartagena, and then I'll probably maybe stop in Cali as I finish up my time here in Colombia before my visa expires. It expires middle of September, beginning to middle of September, so I need to be leaving to make sure I have no problems with my visa, and overstaying fines is not what I'm looking to do. You know? Well, this is the stadium, and there actually is a skating area. Ah, the music is so loud. I don't know if they have a concert going on or what. So many of these massive automatic bikes, like 300, 400, 500, 700 cc's. Oh, he biffed it, poor guy. He's back up again. No problemo. Yeah, this is the skating area. He's wearing the Mighty Ducks shirt, I love that. So here's a skating area, which is right in front of the stadium. I don't know what's going on from the distance. It's super loud music. But here's the entrance to the stadium. Around the corner. So there's a lot of graffiti, as is Colombia's style. And this is a place for the youth to rock out on their skateboards and have a good time. What's going on over here? Is it closed? Okay. I thought that was the entrance to go into the stadium area. It might just be closed off. Wow. This is the outside part of the stadium. For whatever reason, maybe there's a concert going on, a show. For all that I know, that's the situation that's going on now. So what is my opinion? What is my view of Laureles nowadays? And do I suggest it for some future expats? Well, I'm gonna be real with you. I am not huge into tourist areas, man. There's just music everywhere. I just walking through just massive speakers. I can't even, concentrate, and can't have this music in the background the entire time. So let's get back to what would I say about living in Laureles? Would it be a great spot for a person that wants excessive noise all the time? Definitely not. I mean, you can tell there's crazy music everywhere, just honking cars. I mean, that's just Latin America in general. But Laureles for me was a place that was kind of undiscovered in 2019, 2020. It was an awesome spot to be a foreigner. I was here just kind of hanging out, digital nomading, just kind of exploring the country, just bouncing around cities and enjoying and working online. Same as what I'm doing now, but now I'm doing it on the motorcycle and showing my experience as I'm living through this experience, and showing you the things you need to know, and things you might be thinking about understanding when you're going to move to a place like this. So I don't know, Laureles kind of has changed from this like undiscovered, I mean, it's a domestically popular place. It's always been a place that people have liked coming to for La Setenta, for just the more safe type of area, because Laureles, I've never had an issue living there for more than a year or so. And in the surrounding zones as well, I just never had an issue. So just living in this zone is just nice. It has a lot of the luxuries of different local restaurants everywhere, bars everywhere, the stores you need, the exitos, just everything within walking distance, within a couple blocks. So it's just a great spot. I believe there must be a concert here. I'm hearing someone like screaming, and I have no idea who's talking, but it sounds like someone is playing there. Maybe we can ask these girls. Disculpa. Disculpa, ¿saben si hay un concierto en el estadio hoy?
Sí, hoy hay concierto de salsa.
Salsa, ¿es un cantante o qué?
No, es un ritmo de acá de este lado. Son varios cantantes, el género se llama salsa.
Sí, pero no son cantantes famosos de salsa. ¿Cuáles son?
Sí.
¿Cómo se llaman?
Ray Ruiz, Jerry Rivera, Víctor Manuel.
Ah, pues no sabía, quería entrar y mostrarlo y no sabía qué estaba pasando y están compitiendo con Colombia, la selección nacional 3-0.
Sí, sino que acá en el Coliseo Cubierto están proyectando en pantalla el partido, pero en el estadio está cantando
esos cantantes de salsa. Mira, avancemos, ¿no? Pero
ya avanzamos.
¿Con quién vamos a jugar entonces si ganamos? ¿Uruguay o Brasil?
Hay que esperar a ver qué salga, pero nosotros queremos que sea con Uruguay, que hoy pierda
Brasil. Está difícil, ¿eh? Está muy difícil. Sí, también ganaron los Estados Unidos, ¿no? Uruguay contra Estados Unidos. Mira. ¿Cuál es tu nombre?
Adriana.
Adriana, soy Eric.
¿Vos? Soy Eric.
Soria, soy Eric. Ya, gracias. Que va bien. Okay, so they said that there was a concert from various salsa singers that's happening over there. I should have known. Why wouldn't there be in the stadium, right, on a weekend? I'm just so out of touch with reality, really, to be honest. I just don't think about these things. However, I wanted to show you kind of a very rambunctious day of the week during an important game. As they mentioned, they're super excited about Colombia making it to the semifinals. They're going to be playing either against Uruguay or Brazil. That's what we were talking about, both about that concert and about the upcoming game. So, yeah, people here are super friendly. I mean, even with these massive crowds, I mean, I've been trying to watch my back, make sure everything's okay. But as you can tell, I mean, this is a safe country, opposed to what you might hear about it being this super difficult, dangerous place. I mean, there are dangers everywhere. And if you're not safe, or if you're not looking around, making sure that you're watching out where you're going, then bad things can happen anywhere. So here I am in the second biggest city in Colombia, Laureles, one of the most poppin' neighborhoods. And everything has been fine on this nearly 40-minute walking tour. So let's go up these stairs and chat a little bit about Laureles, as I was cut off trying to understand what was going on with this concert. Laureles has really increased prices. Now, does that really make a huge difference for people that are, coming with a really reasonable American or Canadian style monthly salary? I mean, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. You live great beyond $2,000 or $3,000 per month. I mean, it doesn't take much here in Colombia to have a good lifestyle, to live well, and to be in a good neighborhood. And I mean, if you're taking even taxis as well, Ubers, they're crazy cheap. There's Uber motorcycles as well, and they're sometimes half or a third the price. I remember taking an Uber motorcycle when I went to go drink some beers with my buddy Tom. When we went to go drink some beers at Poblado to celebrate his promotion. And I don't like driving and drinking, so I went over to this place by motorbike Uber, so Uber motorcycle, and I believe it cost me like $2 for like a 25-minute ride. I mean, that's just how things are here. Anyways, Laureles is not the undiscovered spot anymore. It's a place where it's kind of become the fashionable spot now that Poblado is like the most expensive part of the city by far. This place is becoming more expensive as people are discovering, wow, this is a great place to be. There's a lot of action, there's a lot of people, and it's close to everything. It's right in the middle of the city next to the downtown. Like, as you noticed when I was walking around the residential area, I mean, even those spots, they're one block away from a super noisy, super rambunctious, loud, crowded area, but they still have tons of people that live there in peace. I mean, there's just almost no noise. It's crazy. When I lived at that house, when I showed you the house where I lived in, I couldn't really hear anything from the actual party street La Setenta. So yeah, that is just how things are. You can live in the residential area right next to like a pretty loud zone, and it's not too bad. Stadium though, the stadium music definitely reached my house right around here around the corner. So that was something you can't avoid, but I kind of liked it. I liked listening to the crowds and hearing the the music, the bands that are, there's a salsa, a series of salsa singers, I guess, playing tonight. So this is the stadium area. This is the stadium stop at the metro line. This one goes, I believe, east and west. And then the main line goes north and south. So we'll be taking that later. I'll show you a bit more about that as we decide to cover that in the next coming days after I do a couple more walking tours around the downtown and these other things I'm going to be covering here, Comuna 13. Yeah, we're going to be calling it quits here. I just wanted to give you a little view of what Colombia is like and also about how the time I've spent here. Like I said, I've spent close to 2 years in Colombia and most of it has been here in Medellin. So this is the city that I've grown to love. However, nowadays it's become a bit too busy, too touristy, and you'll be able to see that in Comuna 13 when you could probably see small pockets of the excessive amount of tourism. Like a lot of international foreigners are around, and that's never a bad thing, but it definitely complicates living in a place because you want to have a certain, in my perspective, being the expat that I've been for so long, I like having at least a slight feeling of being the exotic foreigner that decides to go to a new place that is really not popular, and for that reason you can enjoy an experience that is not just you are one of the thousands of foreigners that come for a couple of days to check out the area, drink beers, go to Comuna 13, go to just popular spots, and then fuck off. I don't want really having that type of feeling in that environment of the people kind of thinking, oh, that's what you're here for. You're just here for a couple of days, and there's some weird feelings, some kind of bitter feelings against foreigners here in specifically Medellin. So yeah, choosing the right city based upon it being not super exploited with tourism can be very beneficial for your experience, especially if you want to live here long term. And there are many cities. This is a city called the Eternal Spring, the city of Eternal Spring, because it has fantastic weather year-round, low to mid-60s, up to the high 70s, low 80s all year long. We're at 1,400 meters about, up to 1,800 is kind of the top area of the mountains on the sides. And it's just fantastic weather. And there's many cities that are like this. I'm going to show you that in Bucaramanga as we make it over there. Well, guys, if you're enjoying my content, if you're liking these walk-arounds, checking out new cities, new places with me, not getting robbed in dangerous countries and cities around the world, in Latin America specifically in this project, well, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Please continue following me. Consider donating to the channel and finding my PayPal in the links in the description below. And guys, I really enjoy making this content for you. It's a lot of work, but I really hope you all are appreciating it and watching and having fun along with me. See you in the next one. Hasta la próxima.